I always forget. There's always a button to forget to press. All right, welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour for Friday, August 25th, 2017. I don't even remember the last time I've been on one of these. It's been many weeks. I was in India. I was taking some PTO. I don't even remember if I did this the week before we went to India. I think we were all getting ready for stuff then. So welcome to the Live Coding Happy Hour. Actually, it was gratifying the number of people I met in India, in Pune, in Hyderabad, in Delhi, who said they have watched these videos or they watched the Tech Now videos. So
awesome.
Welcome, friends. All right, so I'm Dave Slusher, developer evangelist with the Platform Business Unit at ServiceNow, and with me is my colleague.
I'm Josh Nereus, also a developer evangelist in the Platform Business Unit, or the developer program, as you probably know us. And yeah, it's good to have you back, Dave. It's been a while.
All right, so what we're going to do this week is we're going to go back to one of the classic things. I've been working on this thing for like a year at this point, the travel tracker. There's some ups and downs of this thing, and actually it kind of fell over a little bit while we were in India. It was I wanted to use it as a tool to coordinate India. It wasn't, there were parts that were not usable. And the email integration was part of that, right? Or the email parsing. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to switch from Traxo parsing to WorldMate parsing. And we're going to do that. That's going to be kind of part of what we do this hour. I might consider even switching the other. We've got a different flight status utility. We might consider. I also want to switch both of those things, which is kind of a fairly major surgery. And I definitely did not want to do all this stuff right before India. So I'm going to switch both because I think both of these APIs are superior. WorldMate, and I'm pretty sure when the week that it was just me and Andrew Barnes, we talked about this. WorldMate API for the longest time I thought just wasn't hitting my my API, and then I cracked it. I'll actually run over that again. Before we do that, what are you drinking this week, Josh?
I am drinking. I'll see if I can actually pronounce this correctly, although I've got some hints on the front. Weiner beer. It's based here in Chicago. It's a Belgian-style wheat ale called Meow, like MIAOU, and I'm pretty sure it's Meow because there's a whole bunch of cats on the front chasing a cat or something like that, or chasing a mouse. Anyway, it's pretty interesting beer. What you got?
I've got a Sweetwater Cool Breeze Cucumber Saison, which is a pretty good summer beer. I drink it on this show because the personal podcast I did with my buddy, I would hear no end of ribbing if I drank a cucumber beer on the air. So this is good, a good kind of late summer beer. A little medicinal. I can use this. 1 second.
It actually sounds delicious. I don't think I've had a cucumber beer before, but I like cucumbers. So
it is good.
Start.
If I can avoid spilling this on a laptop, I'll be doing good. All right. So let us kind of get into what we're doing. Let me share my screen here. One of the problems of like when you go a few weeks without doing a thing like this is it really is extremely easy to forget the entire tool chain, forget how you're doing everything.
What is ServiceNow? Where is Studio? How does this work? Why are we here? I don't even know.
Every bit of that. All right. Okay. And am I sharing my screen? Looks like everything's working. Let me goose this one. Oops, sorry, I goosed the wrong window. Up at one. I want to up this. I think this one is actually kind of a little high. Okay. So what we've been doing in here, and let me switch to my other window here, is I've got a couple different webhooks that are set up, and so I spent the longest time working on email forwarding in ServiceNow with very little success. And then I realized, why am I doing any of this? And I just set up a burner Gmail account that has a rule that forwards to the ingress point, like my email box for both Traxo and WorldMate. Okay. So I really was killing myself trying to get the email working, trying to get like an inbound email action that would resend the email and preserve everything in a way that would allow it to parse. And never got it to work. And I thought, why am I doing any of this? So getting rid of that was actually part of what made this thing viable. And when I decided that I'm not going to do that, I'm just gonna do bog standard Gmail. So right now it's already live and doing both things, and both webhooks are always getting called every time. Okay, so if we come over here, and so you'll see that when the email goes in, you'll get it. It gets parsed by WorldMate and it gets parsed by Traxo, and that's happening for everything, both times. I've got basically the webhook endpoint set up for, this is the Traxo one, and this is the WorldMate one. Okay, and they're very similar. Now, let me talk about, and I'm just going to reiterate what I talked about with Andrew. I believe that the time it was me and Andrew was, in fact, the day that I figured this out. For the longest time, I thought WorldMate was not a viable alternative because it never hit my webhook, right? Traxo, I thought Traxo's parsing was less good, less robust, but the webhook was more reliable. And the WorldMate, for one thing, the WorldMate does take a while, right? The Traxo's, within 1 minute, and the WorldMate is like 10, 20 minutes later, which in the scheme of things, we don't care about, right? This is not a super real-time thing. You're generally forwarding itineraries, weeks ahead of time. So I don't care too much about the 20 minutes, but it never hit my darn endpoint. And so I kind of retrenched and went to request bin and kind of sat down with it, which, by the way, as I was talking to people in Delhi and talking about request bin at one point, I realized request.in, that's an Indian URL.
That's a good point.
It never occurred to me that it was India. So I sat down with request bin, and I realized after digging through this that, in fact, the headers that come in from the WorldMate are not application XML. It's, I think, text. I think it's like text data or something like that. Like text plain or something like that. Oh, text plain. It says right here. Text plain is the header it's set. So when my endpoint was set up to application JSON or application XML, and then the content negotiation failed, right? As they're looking for the common format to use, and it would never hit it. So there was not even an HTTP transaction because they couldn't agree on a MIME type. Gotcha. So then what I had to do is come in and change this endpoint to allow text plain. Okay. So when you do that, though, I put in text plain and text XML. When you do text plain, you can no longer allow for the implicit marshalling. Okay. So what I ended up having to do here is you have to do stuff that you don't have to do when it's application XML, because then when it's application XML or JSON, you already know that you're going to get something in a structured format, and it's going to automatically do it. And that's how you get the request.data. We don't have that. Text.plain, you can't make that guarantee because it could be anything, right? It could just be a raw text file. So you've got to do this stuff yourself, where you get the stream, request body data stream, the reader. Basically, I'm reading it line by line and appending it. So when I'm done, input here has the full XML payload. And in fact, step one, I just log the payload. I pass it to WorldMate utils, which converts that XML payload into JSON. And then I log the JSON, and then at this point, it's not actually doing anything, right? The WorldMate is just doing, all it's doing is logging every time. And so the logging it's doing is this over here, right? Packet as code. This is the XML payload, and all its weird stuff. And this is the JSON. Now, talking a little about the design patterns adapter class, which we kind of, we put in the header explicitly, and we did talk about this a few weeks or months ago, that I didn't want to have to keep changing business logic based on the idiosyncrasies of like this versus Traxo, right? Which is Traxo's format is different. And, Traxo calls things different things and has different level of containment and organizes things differently. So I've got my adapter class. If we come over here in the so if we look at the WorldMate utils, or let's also look at the itinerary utils. The itinerary utils over here, where it handles the parsed itinerary, this is my format. So I've already made everything in this itinerary utils consume a JSON that I personally specified. So I kind of created what I thought was the set of everything I needed to know about everything. And so all business logic uses my format, and it does not matter how it comes in from Traxo or WorldMate. What these guys do is the adapter class. is it comes in here, and I'm getting all of this stuff, and I'm converting it into my format. So I want flight origin, I want flight destination, I want flight number, et cetera, et cetera. So flight number, for example, let's find something. So I've got flight airline. In their case, they're provider-details.name. Okay, so this is me adapting from the worldmate. This is the XML tag to me. This is what I'm calling it, and so that's really what all these parsing, the worldmate and the Traxo utils are doing, is getting it to my format. So what I'm going to do now is this might be extremely simple.
So actually, before we continue, question for you. So if we take a step back, just for anyone who hasn't been following along up to this point, the just to sort of clarify the data flow of what's happening here. So you get an email from Concur or wherever your travel email comes from, and then I remember, I think in one of these you're actually forwarding the entire message itself, and then are you doing an API call on the other one? I can't remember.
No, they're both forwarding the email inboxes, and both of them are calling webhooks.
Okay, got it. So basically what happens is you forward the email to the service goes through that email and extracts all the relevant information, and then it packages it up and sends it back to the ServiceNow instance. So just so if anyone's watching this and you're like, well, where did all this stuff come from?
Yes. In both cases, in both of these things, it's originating. So basically my Gmail account has two rules, one of which forwards everything to Traxo and one of which forwards everything to WorldMate. And then each one of those things is configured in my account to hit a webhook on my instance. So that's kind of how there's a certain, I don't know how many, it seems like every week we invoke the name of Rube Goldberg, but there's a certain, certain bit of that here, right? Where, Gmail to service to webhook, right? Via your account.
That makes sense.
And in fact, in both of these cases, you have your own inbox that is configured to be you have an address that's specific to you and your account. And that's what Gmail is forwarding to. So that was one of those things, is I didn't want to leak that information. And it may change, right? If you invalidate and change accounts, etc. I don't want to publicize and socialize that address, because no one needs to know that address but me. So that's why I kind of created this forward-only email address.
That makes sense.
So, okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to switch this, where before this was just logging and then logging and no-opping, basically. We're going to switch this to actually trying to set up, use the itinerary utils and have the worldmate information be the information that does that. So what we're going to do over here, we're actually just going to comment this out over here now. And I'm actually going to cut and paste this. Actually, so this is something that existed in Traxo that didn't exist. So Traxo actually, I'm not going to do that, because Traxo had this concept where it would call with a processing. It would call you 30 seconds into say processing, and then it done. So WorldMate doesn't do that. It just hits one time. So I don't actually even need to do that.
Got it.
I don't.
I see.
Right now, I'm not even returning anything. I don't know. I think I am actually going to return something, just to be a good.
Just never know when you might want it later.
Yeah. Just because I don't want this. I don't want this doing nothing. I want there to be a few bytes down the wire, just in case somebody else, in case I want to test it and I want something coming back. And in fact, that's actually going to come into play here in a minute, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a breakpoint here. Actually, I don't know that I want the breakpoint there. I want the breakpoint here. It's breakpoint at 15, not at 14. All right. So let's come over here to this. And before we start getting into this, do we have any questions or relevant comments in any of the chats?
We've got welcome
Twitch,
back, Dave. We've got
Twitch. We've
Meow.
got more. Yeah, we've got more places to look.
Yeah. I'm watching them all today, so no questions so far. And somebody else commented. I mean, we're stretching relevance here, but MIAOW is the French spelling. If someone is remembering their high school French correctly, but nothing about Travel Tracker right yet.
Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this XML just because I don't want to have to keep popping this up. Is I'm going to put this in Evernote for 1 second, just so I can come back and get this payload, which I may need it multiple times. Okay. So what we're going to do now is WorldMate utils. And did I save this guy? I did not. Let's update this guy and update this guy. If we get an actual, like, I know I know I have one, and I think our boss has one. And do you have one too, where you have the automatic rule in Outlook that forwards all concur itineraries?
I do, yeah. Everything's going there now. So hopefully
if someone
emails
books a
when I go
flight,
places.
yeah, if our boss books a flight in the middle of this, we might see it. You and I won't be, but he might. Okay, so I'm going to come over here, and we're going to do the REST API Explorer on this guy. Open yet another tab. So what we're going to do is I'm going to basically paste in that payload, the whole XML, blah, 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 with the WorldMate parsing result. And then we're going to step through this a little bit. Okay. Oh, and what's the part that I missed before I do that? I missed a very crucial aspect of this.
That's a good question. Headers?
I had not opened the debugger.
Oh. Yeah.
So I was trying to debug it, and I wasn't going to get anything because the script debugger window wasn't open.
That's right.
So let's hit it. Debugger's open. All right. Transaction. So WorldMate. Step over that. Let's step into that. I definitely blew some minds when I was showing this recently. I demoed this in Delhi. People loved it. All right. I didn't actually realize I already had some breakpoints in here. So the JSON is my I think JSON is what JSON is what I'm going to return. So this JSON object, which right now is just kind of empty, it's got just a little bit of information in there. It's the thing that's going to start getting populated. So I'm going to step over everything.
And so it's going to gradually start getting built out.
And so segment, okay. And this, where are we at? Flight stats util. I'm going to actually step up because we probably have, let's get rid of some of these breakpoints while we're in here. This is a little more than we need. Let's step over. Get rid of that. Obviously, I need a little cleanup in here from. All right, so get rid of that. Oh, wait. I went one too far. All right. Shoot, I went too far. Let's see what I should have done here. This should have created. Oop. Should have created in here a new record. So let's go over to this travel tracker, all flights. Should have created new flights, I think. So we'll do the updated date. It may not have done it because that already exists.
Got it.
So let's go back, and I'm going to do that again because, in fact, server error. I got a server error. That must be when, so I surprised me by jumping. Undefined value has no property. Okay, so we actually have a problem. So, good, we've got something to debug. So let's debug. All right. All right. So see if I can figure out what it is. We got rid of some of those. I'm going to step in. I've got one breakpoint in here. I'm going to step over. Somebody. I'm going to go ahead and just continue down to this line 52. See if I can see which line it is that gave me the problem. Flight destination, flight number, airline code. Why is airline code empty? Airline code AA. Oh, this is flight, because I'm filling out this thing. Flight number AA533. Oh, okay. Departure time. Is this the thing? Okay, departure time is actually the thing that.
Is that where it's dying?
It's where
Got it.
Died on me. All right, so let's go and let's figure out why departure time is dying on me. So that is in our itinerary utils, right? Or no, that was in the world mate handler.
Oh yeah.
Departure time. So tu.getUTC.
So does it not have a local departure string?
Did I not? Looks like I did not. TU equals new time utils. All right, let's. I'm going to go back here and fire this up one more time.
At least now we know what values to look at relative to that particular thing.
So I'm going to go back to the same, basically the same point.
And this is an interesting thing. So you might have to refresh the debugger. I've run into this a couple of times because you might still be, or actually it's still paused. But yeah, because we don't break on exception at this point, it is sometimes necessary to just do line by line until it just stops working. Okay. As we found out here. Okay.
Back to here. Let's step in again. Oh, that's not. Yeah. Step in. All right. So. Actually, that's not the thing I'm in. Let's step into this thing. No, I'm still in the initializer. Step into this thing. And so I want to step over. TU is step over, not in. So TU is TU. TU. You notice that TU just says no. That's
TU.
That might be right.
Where'd it go? Oh yeah, there it is.
It's down here. I guess it has no fields. That's why it's not this expandable object.
Yeah, because it's not going to let you walk the functions. It's just going to show you fields.
Okay. So this is the guy who's problematic. This is line 60. Let's just go straight to it, and then let's step in. All right, I'm going to step in to TU get UTC. Time. Let's see. Was that the one right there? That looked like that might have been the thing.
Yeah.
So it was that first line in there is giving me the problem.
Wait a second though. Did that actually die, or because it looks like it's still paused, like it exited that function? Because the debugger appears to still be paused on that. Line 60.
So step over.
So yeah, it's still working through. So what? That's a little weird.
But when we come over to what we're going to see is when we go over to the REST API Explorer.
Yeah.
So we're going to see that conversion error, undefined value has no properties, syscript include line 139.
And is that so if we look at that script include line 139.
This might be moment time zone. I think moment
that could be.
I think moment is the one that's actually. Why did I keep doing that? All right. So moment is the problem here. So in time utils, I'm over here and I'm saying get UTC, and this is doing the moment.tz. So let's look at the moment. And moment 139, actually, and let's just see, is this 6B, so E73 is what this ends with.
Oh, it's not.
E30, so it's not moment. Let's try the moment time zone.
There it is. E38.
Okay,
I think
so 139.
Unpack packed string. That's interesting.
So this is the guy who's, this is, okay, I have run across this before multiple times. And so this is, for some reason, this is going to be a problem with the debugger. So let's just do this and not debug and see if it works.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yes. I think I'm stuck on a red herring here because let me just, for a moment, let's turn the debugger off and rerun it and see if we just get it working. Because I have now remembered that I see this occasionally, is that the moment defies our debugger. So let's just click this. We're not going to debug. We're just going to let it go. And if we do that, we get a different error. Cannot read property length from undefined. Okay, that's another different error. Line 7, and that's one of mine. Length undefined. And this actually is a big problem, and I'd like to see if I could crack this nut at some point. Is why can't I debug the moment time zone? Something about actually, I wish I hadn't closed that. Something about in here, and this is always the thing that does it. This over here, this thing right here, this as invoked by the debugger doesn't, you get a null pointer error on this thing, the undefined. I don't know why, but it is intrinsic to moment time zone. And it is a bummer. So now we kind of have to go back to our indirect old way of working, which is to figure out which thing on line 7 is the one that's dying. And which line? Okay, so let's go back to REST API Explorer.
And we can get that sysID. Actually, just copy the whole sysID. Because you can just go to the script include table and look for that.
Yeah, let's do
Might
that.
be easier. I don't know if code search will actually find a sysID or not, but I know this will. Actually, if Corey happens to be watching right now,
but it
doesn't. A live
doesn't.
question for him.
You can't personalize it. Where exactly in the search?
Just do it in the filter. So just go up to the filter builder and do the filter icon.
This thing?
Yeah, and just do sysID equals there. Because the platform doesn't allow you to put sysID out onto a list view.
Okay.
But it does let you do this.
Hotel utils.
Hotel utils. Interesting. Okay.
All right. So let's switch over to here. Hotel utils is the one that it's pooping out on 7. Hotels. Add hotels to itinerary. And I'll bet you I'm not checking for. Let's just add this. I'm going to debug this blind. Not equal undefined. All right. that seem right to you?
I think that will work.
I might actually be, because I'm probably just calling this whether or not there's a hotel in the itinerary. So it might be a thing to think about in my itinerary utils is, do I want to, I'm going to add hotels.
Yeah, I would almost say that this would be the place to put it.
This would be the place to do it and not there.
Yeah. At least that's the way I usually approach these things. Obviously, that's kind of a personal preference and convention thing, but I like to.
Yeah, why should this guy have to know that?
Right. Yeah. Because then you don't know, like, how, at what level. What if there are 3 or 4 levels to your logic? And so just basically input validation at the highest point is usually what I do.
Let's do all this. I imagine we're going to get exactly the same error on this.
Yeah, that would make sense. And this just makes the code, it makes it nice and readable. It makes it obvious what's going on here. So I like it.
And do it for flights too. I'm going to guess probably, why am I not getting this error on, I wonder if I'm creating an empty, like a 0 length array in the, this might be a difference in my adapter.
Oh, yeah, that could be interesting.
But I like this anyway, whether or not that's in there. It just kind of makes sense. All right. If this gives me any problems here, what I might actually do is temporarily turn off the time zone business, and so that we can not worry about have the wrong time zone, have the wrong time, but actually debug it. So
yeah, that makes sense. Until we can figure out what's going on.
Until we figure out everything else. All right. So I'm going to send this. Do we get a 500? We get a 200. Message handled. Okay.
Nice. Nicely done.
Surprising. All right. Never act surprised when something works the way you want it to. Now, did this create, again, it may not have created it because I think the thing already exists. Let me go back and figure out what exactly we're doing. And this should be, let me find the flight number and the day. Notice how much crap is in this XML.
That is a lot of crap.
September 5th at 1:56. I should probably know this. September 5th. So these flights right here.
I bet I know what that flight is too.
I bet you do. All right. I'm going to delete all these things and let's see if they get recreated.
And bonus points to the audience if the audience knows what that flight is, because some of them might.
Surely there's somebody watching who knows what this flight on September 5th from Myrtle Beach through a couple legs to San Diego is. Not a secret.
Diego. Nope, not at all. I have one that's pretty similar to it.
All right, let's do this. I'm going to send it again. Now, parsed. Let's come over here and let's refresh this list. And boom. All right, so that is newly created. Okay, so let's kind of walk through. The flights did just get recreated. So that was the problem before, is that it wasn't creating because the flights, it was probably, if I looked at the itineraries, it was probably, and actually I don't want to look at my itineraries because system administrator is not the one who owns that.
And Casey's got the right answer. CreatorCon San Diego.
There you go. Okay. So what we will see is that the one that was just created, this guy. So if we go to this itinerary, this is the one that should have no flights because I deleted the flights. Okay. And that is what we see there. However, the thing it didn't do over here is it's got flights, but it is not correctly associated with me. So we've got something missing in here. So this did not work completely properly. So I think we're going to have to go. I want to be able to step through this. So I'm going to go and temporarily get rid of the time zone stuff.
Got it.
So we're going to do that in WorldMate. We're just not going to. What am I going to do? A place where it's calling.
Basically, just get rid of that departure time. Well, so do you have to still have a departure time?
Yeah, what I'm going to do here is let's do this. I want to keep this nice and obvious what I'm changing here. So instead of the moment version of this, we're going to just echo this back. So instead of adapting it,
pass it straight through.
We're just going to pass exactly the string that we were changing, we're changing to UTC. Okay. All right. And just a note to myself.
Notes to selves are very good. Yeah, I'm sure that'll come up later. I'm like, how? What?
Why is this? Why is this in the wrong time zone? Yes. I'll take a cucumber saison break for a second. Realize I've been talking for half an hour. Okay. All right. So now we go back to this thing, and lest I forget, I want to delete those flights again. I want them to get newly created, and because I want to test the newly created, and I want to test the associating of them with me. Let's see, before we go too far in that, let's come over here and see in the itinerary utils, some point, add itinerary to travel grid. At some point, we've got to get the user. Itinerary owned by. And so let's double check let's find make sure that I'm doing the owned by in here. That might be a problem. I may just literally not even be
just not processing it at all.
Yeah, not even processing it. So let's see what I'm doing over in Traxo.
So, there it is.
Set value.
So set value.
So
and it's under create itinerary.
So I've already got the user. So let's find out. Step up back one. Where am I getting the user? Itinerary email user. So I'm looking up
and so itinerary email is a glide record in the itinerary email table, it looks like.
It does
and
look like
so that. Then there's a user field. So is that a user field? Is that user field a reference?
I think what I'm doing here is, and let's go back and I think what I'm doing here is just literally storing that. Again, this is that classic thing where.
It does look like a reference. And notice how a bunch of those don't have a user.
They don't have a user, and it looks like I'm not using it. You notice that none have been created since June.
Oh, yeah.
So this looks like a leftover bit of business.
Huh. So is that whole table left over? Like you're not using the table anymore?
Quite possibly I'm not using any of this stuff. All right. Tracks. Okay, so let's not worry about that too much then. Get value, convert parsed email to JSON. So this JSON flight. JSON. And so back over here in the itinerary, the JSON get value from script itinerary.email. Itinerary.email.
Itinerary dot. Oh, so this is get value from JSON.
Itinerary.
Okay, so you're just building the object.
Okay, so it is actually getting it. So this is the key part. Is that's get value from JSON. Okay.
And it's looking for something called user
data
address.
object user address. All right. So I'm not doing this over here in WorldMate.
Okay.
Am I? Oh, I should be.
Oh, you are.
Yeah,
she just called something else.
Get value from JSON. And S2. Okay, so tell you what. This is the key thing. All right.
Time to look at that.
Script debugger back on. REST API Explorer back. I'm not even going to care about clearing it out. Let's just go and hit the button. All right, we're going to continue until we get to that. All right. JSON input. S2 WorldMate parsing result. Dot end user emails. Dot user. Dot email. Oh, problem.
So wait a second. JSON
yes,
input.
This is not my email.
Oh.
So now that's the problem here. So now this is where the adapter is failing me a little. So what I need to do is see, can I find in that, I'm going to go searching.
Is the original value somehow preserved somewhere?
Somewhere in that.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting problem.
It's a big problem. Like,
so I'm guessing that it is preserved in the other API.
It absolutely is. Yes.
Got it.
Tracks of API. So now, question being, if it's not, I'll tell you what. Let me do this. Do a new file. That's not it. Let's do the payload. And then you have to help me. I never remember what the
do Command Shift P and then type format. Yeah. Format document. Was it a clean paste? I wonder if there's some markup missing. XML formatting.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. Let's go back to. See my community. How many times are we gonna see my community box?
Every time you see a community inbox, take a sip of whatever you're enjoying this afternoon.
All right, we'll go back to this thing. Okay. Well, that's also not clean.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I wonder. Maybe it's just that extra debug stuff at the bottom. Is that not? Can you turn on? Try turning on word wrap, if you can. I don't remember if it's under view or. Oh yeah, there it is. There.
This. All right.
There we go.
Now.
Now we can Command Shift P. Hopefully.
That wasn't much of a format. P.
Try Command Shift P. Try reindent. Try typing reindent. Interesting. I don't know.
All right.
Doesn't like something about the format, but we can still see it at least to some degree. Oh, at least it's in the headers.
It is in the headers. Is it nowhere in?
Header value. Header value, travel tracker inbox.
Oh, this is a mess.
Yeah, it is. Maybe search for your full email address. That one there looks clean. That header value, Dave.Slusher. That is what is that? MS Exchange inbox rules loop? Was that what that was? I don't know what that was, but it was a clean. Name is MS Exchange inbox rules loop, which is, I'm guessing, something that, it's got to be something that Microsoft or that Outlook is adding as part of the auto forward. I don't know. Is there another one in there? Looks
how robust is that? How robust is that going to be? This is what I'm worried about right here. So this terrible. This is. These are not workable.
From that's not bad. You'd have to do some parsing, but I feel like that might be that second one there where smtp.mail from equals. I don't know. That's interesting. Header value.
These are exchange. What if you send it from a non-exchange email? That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Original arrival time. No, that's not going to be it. Authentication results. That's interesting. Authentication results is closer because it's an SPF thing. In theory, you would hope that that would go beyond. Well, but that again might not be the same all the time.
All right, I think I'm going to have to go with this one for right now because it is literally the only one that's not an exchange. That bums me out so bad. See, this is an extremely good example of like the detail-driven decisions you make about something like this, right? I mean, this could conceivably, depending on the whole deal, this could be a reason to not use this API, right?
Yeah, it seems that way. That seems potentially problematic. I wonder. I'm trying to think of anything else like. It just feels like there should be.
Here's what I'm going to take a second here. Back to this thing.
I know that in what got actually sent to the API would definitely have a header that shows the original target. I'm 99% sure of that.
I'm wondering if I can configure this in Google.
Interesting.
I don't want. Ideally, I don't have to change because, like, if I was sending this directly to WorldMate, this would not be an issue.
Right.
This is now kind of a function of the Google forwarding, and I don't really and truly want my application to have all this Google specific.
Yeah. Right.
Because then what I'm doing is, let's say you set this up and you don't use Google to forward it. Now it's going to break. That's going to break too.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think about what's robust enough to do in every situation. And the real robust thing would be to use what I'm using here, which is this is, in fact, the thing I want to use. I just want the right value in here.
I wonder too, are we running into an issue because there are essentially two forward hops going on? Because we've got auto forward from Outlook, and then we've got auto forward from Google. And I'm wondering if we're losing information there. If that's part of the issue.
Quite possible.
Because there would be, because I'm thinking about, taking this back to sort of a realistic scenario for maybe customers or anybody watching. Like I've worked with stuff on platform before where maybe somebody would set up an inbox and then, people could send stuff to that inbox. That inbox would forward to their ServiceNow instance, and you could actually still extract who it came from, despite the fact that it went to a central inbox. And usually that's not difficult. It's just one of the, the original from or something like that. I forget the exact header name. But yeah, now we're 2 hops out. That's pretty interesting. And I mean, I guess you could get crazy with it if you were to say, maybe this wouldn't work with Google or Gmail specifically, but if you had a forwarder that you could actually put code in, do something to attach a persistent header that's going to actually propagate, but I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, this may suggest that I need something other than Google.
Yeah,
I may just have to stand up some AWS thing or AWS Lambda that literally just forwards.
Yeah, that might be it. That might be it.
That is not the business I want to be in. That's actually not where I wanted to go today. I wanted this to be a little cleaner than this. So, all right, so I think this is a time because we are getting close to the bottom of the hour. So now it's time possibly to stop and re-strategize what we're going to do with here, because the principle that I had is that I would have an easy plug and play, because of the adapter class, I would have an easy plug and play, right? I could just drop this thing in into my code, and because I had done this, it would be be trivial, right? And so what we're finding now is that that's not the case. That we're adapting it, and everything's working, other than the fact the information that we need is literally not in the packet that we're looking for.
So Casey is mentioning here in the chat, it says, could have ServiceNow check that mailbox, Gmail or auto-forwarding is no fun. So I think the challenge there is that it's because ultimately it's not the instance that's processing the inbound email. It's not an inbound email action. It's the other API that's processing it. Right. And so unless somehow the other API could point to a mailbox and check it, we're kind of in the same boat.
The problem that I had, the problem that I had before was trying to get, and I did. This was the thing I mentioned at the top of the hour or the top of the show, was that I was trying to have you send it to the instance and have the instance forward this in a way that would allow it to be parsable on the other end. And I was actually failing at that because the instance, like using the tools available to you in an inbound email action, there was always some form of munging it. And what I wanted was basically an untouched email forwarded. And I had a real challenge getting that done from an email inbound email action. So let us come over to.
Yeah, I mean, the more I think about this, I don't think there is going to be any consistent way around this unless you can set up some kind of inbox that you can forward this stuff to and consistently control and process it. Because it's going to be different for everyone. It could, who knows what Yahoo does? Who knows?
Yeah,
what,
I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything to encapsulate the any knowledge of the forwarding service. That's why I don't want to do that exchange.
Because what you almost need is you need somewhere where you can send the email and it will take the original. It will take the where it came from. Well, actually, no. So that's the issue. Is it's not where it came from. It's who it went to, because it's going to be coming from. Well, let me think about that. The original email is going to be coming from Concur or some system like that. But that's not what you want. You want who it was originally sent to.
Yeah, you want it.
And then you want to take that and somehow embed it. Either like add it to the body or do something.
Right. And if we come over here, let me find a Traxo payload. If I find a Traxo payload. Um, and these are all WorldMate because I just keep pushing WorldMate through the REST API. If I find a Traxo payload in here, this may take a little digging. I guess I could search on the word Traxo.
Oh, yeah. And while you're looking for that, I'm just looking through the chat here just to catch up. Earlier, we were asking if we could do code search on SysID, and it's not there today. It looks like Corey was mentioning that it could be useful. There are some challenges.
Okay.
But
yes, so in the Traxo,
there we go.
It has the user address, it has the from address, the user address, it has the from address and the to address, et cetera, et cetera. And so Traxo's handling all this stuff in a way that WorldMate is not.
Interesting.
So
from address, yeah, that's really interesting that it's doing that. So what I wonder is, so what you're seeing here, this user tracking
from, to, and
management,
subject. Yeah.
Is this the Traxo, or I'm sorry, the WorldMate API?
This is the WorldMate API docs. Yes. So according to them, you've got a header that's a from, a to, and a subject. I don't know that I'm seeing that.
Well, I think we did though, wasn't it? Wasn't that the travel tracker inbox?
Equals from.
There's only one of those. That's interesting. With
header name equals from. Oh, header name equals from. Header name equals from.
Oh, got it. Name equals from is empty. Oh, wait a second.
No, oh, it's there. Look at this.
How did we miss this before?
I don't know how we missed this. Okay, so.
We're back in business.
Header. So we look for the name equals from. We're going to have to crack it. Ugh.
But it's not too bad. I mean, it's got the sort of the what you would put into an email client to show the formatted version of an email address.
But so, I could just be the raw email address. That's what I think
though, if you put this value directly into an email, except you have to look it up. You have to.
I'm looking it up. Yes, I'm looking it up. Got it. So I need to crack this out. All right, so we got to go to our friend Rubular.
And we're back to regular expressions, which we've been talking about a lot lately.
Oop, that's not the right thing. I actually like it. I loved it when we did the regular expression. I think it was the last one you and I were on, where we did the regular expressions, because most things I'm like a dunce and you're like, oh, here you go, and you just do this and you do that, and I don't have any idea. Here's how the token flow, token flow, blah, 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 blah. And then we got to regular expressions, and I got to be, oh no, here's what you do. All you do is you just do this thing.
I think you just called me a dunce.
No, I'm saying I'm the dunce. Because
no, I mean like on regular. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
man. I am the regex dunce. That is how it goes.
All right. So what we want is, if we have, or. I don't even actually know if I have to escape these or not.
Actually, I know it's cheating an awful lot, but there's probably a published like generic matching email address regular expression you could just paste in there. See, this is how I write regular expressions right here.
problem being, I think most of these are not going to, you need one to actually extract. What's the name of that expanded format that we're looking at here? What's the name of this?
I don't know. Well, but what I'm thinking is that the preceding and following characters are not valid email address characters, so it might still extract it if you use
Same
one of
because
those.
the ampersand and the. Okay, let's try it. Tell you what. Let's go back to pick this thing. Whoop. Let's just do the top hit.
Probably that first one is what I'm guessing.
This one? Well, let's try it.
2 requirements.
I've just got Rubular, so why not?
There it is. Oh, no, it's not.
It
doesn't have the dots.
Doesn't have the dots.
Why
It's excluding
is that?
That's right here. It's excluded.
Maybe that was something specific to the guy's question. Because there's a dot. There's another dot at the end of it. In the last.
Let's try.
Second question on.
This looks like the same address or the same regex.
Oh, and Corey.
Oh, look at that. That one. All right.
Oh, that looks better. Cool.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm just going to cargo cult this joker right here.
That works.
All right. So I don't know that we necessarily need to gut through the actual doing of it. What we're going to do. So let me just kind of show in broad strokes what I'm going to do where. So here, and this is in WorldMate. I was just taking this, and this is in fact the naive thing that we were doing. This is the actual inbox. This is the Google burner inbox. So what we want to do is we want to get what we're going to have to do first is we're already looping through headers. So we can put something in here if header.name goes from. We can do something. Okay. Then actually we can do it in here. Let's take 5 more minutes and see if we can get this done.
I'm good with that. And we're in bonus time.
Let's just say this. And I'm blanking on how you do the regex matching. What do you do? So I'm going to get
just string.match, whatever the string is.
We're going to say equals.
I don't know.
So then I'm just going to equals header dot value dot match.
I think they'll do it.
And then that is actually going to be.
Oh wait, hang on a second.
I just pasted the wrong thing.
Okay, I was gonna say this doesn't look right.
Header dot value dot match. Then I want the regex. And how is it that I have so completely lost where my window is? There it is. That should be it.
You might have to pull in.
I have to.
I think it's like you have to do / notation around, excuse me, / at the beginning and ending of your regular expression. You want, it's not single quotes, I don't think. I don't know the regular expressions, but I do remember the syntax.
This thing right here. I'm gonna do
that is my function here. And then I think you have to pull in the first index because the 0th is the I don't know. I forget what the 0th is. Like the 0th is the whole thing, whereas the first index is the thing itself, I believe.
All right. So let's go back to, all right. Go back to our PI Explorer. Is our debugger still running? No, it's timed out. All right. Send. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why is that? Did I not?
Didn't save it?
Oh, I didn't save it. Goodness gracious, Dave. That is a problem.
That won't do it.
All right. Let's continue. All right, let's do this again. Do this again. Do this again. The tedium of doing this for a living. All right. Now, header.name, when we're in here, header, if header.name.
Where is header?
Where is header?
Might be under
in global.
Yeah, or under closures, perhaps under
value.
Scope.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Cool.
Now step over. Itinerary. Email. Dog.
So,
all right, we're gonna do an intermediate step here. We are going to
capture the match.
We're going to capture the match. Capture the whole thing so we can inspect it. We'll do this as an intermediate step. Figure out why we're not seeing what we think we're seeing. Okay.
Oh, yeah, and I probably screwed us up here because I was saying we wanted the first index. Corey's pointing out that 0 is the full string match, whereas 1 through n would be the parenthesized substring. So if we were actually,
we don't have a parenthesized substring.
Yeah, we don't. So we do want the whole thing.
We need we don't. No, we don't. What we want is to capture. Oh yeah. You're right. The 0, because we're not writing any of that funky. Normally I would write a capture. Let's just do it this way. Normally I would write a weird capture stuff around it, but there is literally nothing in here. So I'd be capturing, I'd have a thing that's before and after, and I usually stuff, but that's not
the boundaries.
Yeah.
Right. Got it.
Okay.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
We were right, but just for the wrong reasons, or wrong for the right I don't know, something like that.
All right. One more time into the breach. All right. I'm going to try to turn off some of that junk. All right. So if we step over this, the match is
That still might be okay. Andrew and I were running into this last week, or 2 weeks ago, where we would see that it was an array, but we couldn't inspect it or something. So I don't know if it's actually a problem. There might still be a value there. We just can't see it.
Okay. So. And also itinerary is not expandable.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Well, and I wonder if it's maybe for the same reason we can't see the actual array item, because we're just putting the object into itinerary.
Let's do it. You know, the other thing we didn't do was to string it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always something a little weird for some reason with those match responses and debugging. I have a feeling that if you assigned, yeah, I think we'll see what happens.
Let's see. All itineraries. Boom.
Nice. So that did work.
That did actually work. Okay.
Sweet. Beautiful.
It sort of kind of worked in that. Oh yeah. It did work. Okay. So there's the itinerary. There's me. There's my 4 flights. Boom. We'll have to look and see. I think actually this is even correct because I think I didn't pick the seats until after that. So I think that's not in that payload. So, all right. Calling this good. We're in overtime. I'm ready to be done. So I enjoy this, but I'm ready to be done with this. Okay. Let me turn the screen share off. So, okay. So that actually was not as much as of a slam dunk. It actually surfaced, I think, what is a fairly, oh, my camera's still off. Sorry. It surfaced what I think is a pretty good thing to discuss, which is I was making the effort to make this as adaptable as possible, right? I had thought that ahead. That's why I have the adapter class, right? Because I know that I've got 2 different formats and I don't want to be fiddling with my business logic that's, you know, taking my payload and actually inserting it, right? What I want to do is have 2 different classes that convert whatever the idiosyncrasies of the Traxo or WorldMate format into a common format. That all worked. However, I didn't think it through down to the details of actually what was contained in there. So we were in fact exposing, we were losing information. And that partly wasn't, I guess I could have probably figured that out if I had really examined the JSON packet. If I had looked at the JSON packet that I was logging, I probably could have seen that it had the wrong email address in there. So I could have done this if I had looked at that a little closer. But even having made the effort to insulate myself from those concerns, we still had them, right? Because we had some implementation detail-y business about that. I think the way we're doing this is actually robust enough. Now, what this also says to me is that I ought to get somebody testing from outside our system. In fact, I know in the former system it actually worked because I had my brother forward me something he got directly from American Airlines at one point, and it created it for him. So cool. Somebody not using Concur and not using Exchange, I should get somebody to do this at some point, just to verify that they actually do parse.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Somebody outside of our system.
And I think I have, I think all my Southwest flights get separate emails too. So we can do some experimentation with that. I think that's maybe from Gmail.
Right. If you would send me do one of your Gmails, you know, like a Southwest direct flight from Gmail to that, we can test this out. But that does, so I guess just the larger point is, even when you're making an effort to insulate yourself, the stuff can still leak through. I did not want to have any implementation details coming through, and danged if we didn't get one anyway. Right?
Yeah.
So there you go. That happens sometimes. So it kind of confounded what I was trying to do. I think we're actually about there. So I think it will take a little bit of testing, but I think basically we've done what we expected. So I'm going to switch the moment time zone stuff back on, which I can't forget to do. And when I redo this, we should be back to where we were with, other than our digression here into getting the email. If the email thing was not there, like if the email thing had been fixed from jump, this would have been more like a 15 to 20 minute job.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and the thing now is the email thing is more robust. So if you ever go back and have to do a third adapter, now we know where to hopefully more reliably actually get it.
Well, at least the concern is there, because actually the code we're doing is in my adapter. That is my adapter code.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, so it's not going to make a third thing more robust. It's going to make
It's
this one more robust.
Got it. And it will make it adds something to your checklist of next adapter. Now this is a thing.
Yes. Yeah. And so that also says that I missed a step in the adapter, which is completely validating the packets against each other. The other thing I should have done is taken, because I am logging the outputted adapted JSON packets in both cases, and I did not do a field by field comparison of the two, which I should have done, and I probably still should do.
Some ATF. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Or either that, or I mean, that would not be a bad ATF thing, right? So an automated test that validates given this. Because we can do this with APIs now. Given this packet, I want to get this information back out.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be a great test case.
Yeah,
a set of test cases is given this XML hitting this endpoint, I want these values in these fields. So, all right,
cool.
I have a lot of to-do items out of this week's show. All right, all right, I'm done. How do you rate your beer?
This is actually really good. I would give it a solid 4.25.
No way. I'm going to give this one a 4.0. Yeah, that is high. 4.0. It's actually, 4. I'm not going to go higher than that because it's not world changing, but it is definitely like one of the things we talk about in the context. This is contextually a very good beer because this is effectively, I guess it's not even still a full week for me because I had, I was out for the eclipse and I haven't had like a normal week at work in a month. You know what I mean?
And you like probably won't for a while either.
I won't. I haven't had like a 5-day in the office week in the month of August because I was traveling, Friday, like the first Friday in August. I was traveling the Friday before India. I was gone for like 10 days, beginning to end. So anyway, it's good to be back with you, sir, and
good to have you back.
I'm not sure if we're going to do it next week because it will be the holiday weekend. We may end up skipping it next week. We'll make that judgment call next week. So thank you for coming. Any last minute comments or questions? Don't see anybody.
Just take a look through. Don't see anything anywhere. And also, I'm actually going to be out of town next week. So
okay.
Doesn't mean live coding can't happen, but I won't be here.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Bye. See y'all.